Welcome in one and all. I am Pink Demon, aka Regan, and today I've got a really special one. You've already seen the band, but any Australian metalhead should be stoked to get a copy of a Psycroptic album, to get an early copy of a Psycroptic album. Whoa! Blessed by the gods I am. Yes, indeed, I have had my little paws on this, and I've been lucky enough to be spinning it for the last few weeks. Now, believe it or not, I haven't always been a big Psycroptic fan. I got into them probably much later than the average Australian metal fan, and for the longest time, I had people in the scene look at me funny when I told them that I don't really listen to Psycroptic. It's like I just told them that, I don't drink water. But it wasn't anything to do with not enjoying the band, it's just when I was younger, I was into a lot more emotive and a lot less technical extreme metal, so I gravitated towards black metal and away from genres like tech death. So to me, Psycroptic was always just a distraction that meant we were getting less Ruins albums. But in time, I've matured, I've come to appreciate tech death, and I've really come to appreciate Psycroptic. And I saw them live, and I'm like, yep, now I get it, they're phenomenal. I will still say, though, there needs to be more Ruins albums. And shows. Bring back Ruins. But I think there is something about tech death, and this is why the live show kind of was that pushing over the edge that really sold me, that especially at the top end of the industry, like Psycroptic, it just melts my mind to see and hear in a way where I'm like, I could never do that. I'm so ungifted musically that, smoke on the water would be beyond me. But if I put my entire remaining life into learning guitar, I still think something like Psycroptic would be beyond me. It's just clearly done by musicians, artisans who have mastered their craft with practice and probably been blessed with some gifts along the way too that are beyond the reach of the everyman. But still, that doesn't mean there aren't other talented musicians in the Australian metal scene, and if Psycroptic get lazy, someone like Freedom of Fear, for example, might just creep up and steal the crown. But not yet, not now, not on this album, that's for sure. Kicking it off with just addressing the art, as I like to do when the art's been well done, and Psycroptic always do well on the art. I went back and looked at their entire discography. They've never phoned it in when it comes to album art, and this is no different. Really cool oil painting. This guy who is clearly just having a bad time. It almost looks like Pompeii statue. And that's probably the face I'd be pulling if I was about to get smothered in tons of volcanic ash and preserved for all time. A bit of a... That's going to be the video thumbnail, if that looks good. Anyway, I love the cover, I love the colours, the brown's almost bleeding into like a gold on that black background, and just that smidge of red around there too. On top of that, to round out the packaging of the album, really cool name, the Pulse of Annihilation. When it comes to the lexicon of brutal words that death metal bands use, I find Pulse to be very underrated. Can't think of many examples, but maybe like Tyrant Pulse by Concrete Winds. That's also a sick song. Yeah, well, pulses. But now get into the actual music, the actual meat of the album. Starts off really well. It's got this nice, short lead in. I've been getting fatigued on 1 to 2 minute intro tracks, so this was a nice welcome. It kind of plays for a little bit, sets the stage, and then bang, straight into it. And sometimes you just need to get straight down to business. And that's exactly what they do, with just blistering, aggressive, technical death. There's that level of flair that the genre naturally comes with, but beyond that, it's not pretty, it's really in your face, and kind of holds that up for a couple of songs as well, as it moves from Ashes of New Dawn into Gathering of a Venomous Herd. And as we're rounding out the second song, I'm like, alright, that's cool, but like, what else we got? And that's when I realized, every time I think this album is missing something, it shows up at the perfect time. Just where I'm like, needs a little spice, suddenly there's a little spice. A bit of salt added to the mix. It's like it's so well put together that it just knows what it needs to add at the right time to keep you engaged. So we're moving into a Sword of Me. I'm like, alright, you've done the really cool, aggressive tech death, but where's the melodic stuff? Where's the kind of arty stuff? And then bang, it hits in a Sword of Me. And I'm like, alright, sweet. You're able to create masterpieces on both ends of the spectrum, but, where's the hooks? Where's the kind of sing-along, crowd engagement type of thing? And bang, No Time for the Week comes in, and it's got that in there. I'm like, all right, sweet, I'm happy. It's an album that just keeps giving you what you need and really covers the whole spectrum of tech death and just flexes their chops and their ability to do that. So it really moves between the two as well. You don't just kind of stick with one. In a seamless way, it goes from the beautiful melodic stuff into the brutal thrashy stuff, scratching multiple itches for me. Sometimes I'm out there and I'm looking for like a freedom of fear, someone who's a master of their craft and their instrument. And then other times I'm looking for something that is like really hard and brutal, like a revocation. And it's just so cool to have one album that is the entire package for that. And it is so strong that at multiple times during this album, I was listening to a track like No Time for the Week, Forging the Crown, the final track is another one where I'm like, why wasn't this the single? Like, they only dropped 2 singles before it came out, Gathering of a Venomous Herd and No Blade of Grass, and they're both great too. But yeah, there's just so many songs in here, like, this could have been the lead single. And good problem to have that you have too many strong songs on your album. So we hit the halfway mark, we've got Our Pillars Fall, which is ironically the pillar that holds up the album. It is smack bang in the middle, and it does the long intro that I bemoaned about earlier. But it's so well placed in the middle of the album that it's a welcome reprieve. You're kind of getting a breath back after 4 tracks of just having your shit pummeled in. You got a nice long intro to be like, all right, sweet. And then it goes into the most epic song, the largest sounding song, the biggest, it's the longest. It encompasses almost everything I've talked up to about now. It's got the super hard sections, it's got the softer, beautiful sections. Yeah, it's a pillar, it's the tent post for the album. And while it doesn't go on too long, the length of Pillars being, almost 7 minutes long really highlights the rest of the album being quite short. I find in genres like tech death or prog metal, music that's really targeted at musicians. Every time I go to a tech death gig, half the crowd there are other guitarists just wanting to be blown away by guitar skills. And because of that, I find the genre typically has a lot of long songs, and they go on too long and they get a bit wanky and they're written for the sake of showing off instead of being written for the sake of crafting a good art piece. Psycroptic craft good art pieces. There is no wasted time. They are seasoned experts and absolute technical wizards that say what they need to say in 3 to 4 minutes, and if they have anything else to include, they just put it on another track. And this is what I want. I don't want to hear albums where the average song length is over 5 minutes. Paraphrase Shakespeare, brevity is the soul of riff. And hey, while we're quoting the greats, to paraphrase Bruce Lee, I don't like the band that plays 10,000 riffs once. I like the band that plays one riff 10,000 times. Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they have mastered all the elements of their songs and polished it to a perfection instead of just adding shit in to flesh it out. From there, the album continues on and then wraps up amazingly on Forging the Crown. It's got these really fun, noodly guitar riffs. And I really love it when the closing song is one of the strongest songs on the album. Feels like a hidden gem or maybe like a little treat at the end of the album for making it the whole way through. Not that it's a slog to make it the whole way through. It's only 39 minutes. It's got no risk of overstaying its welcome. And then on the other hand, it doesn't leave you wanting more in that bad way, it feeling incomplete. Just as I said with the song lengths, the album length. No wasted time, it's not missing anything, perfectly crafted, perfectly balanced. A complete package that just flows from start to finish. Now, I'd like to offer some critiques in my review, and honestly, this was a hard one to critique. I think the biggest problem I had with it, and I touched on earlier, is, any one of these tracks could have been a lead single. And it goes back to the old Incredibles. Gee, I'm paraphrasing a lot this review, sorry. When everything's a lead single, nothing is. And by that I mean, when I finish this album and I get to the end of Forging the Crown, and I am satisfied with the album, but I'm not satisfied to the point of like, oh man, I've got to play that again. And there's no individual song that's so good and enjoyable that I'm like, I gotta jump back in there. I said that with my Devil Drive review, where there's, a definite track, which is my entry point the moment I finish, because I want to hear that again. Psycroptic doesn't really have that. It's more of a complete 30-minute art piece that I really want to sit down and experience the whole thing. And when I'm done, kind of want to leave it for a bit. It's not something I can really back-to-back listen to. similarly, it's not something where I'm taking single tracks and adding them to playlists. I think it comes down to a concept of like music as art versus music as entertainment. This is at the pinnacle of music as art, but for me personally, in my relationship with tech death as a genre, it's not music as entertainment to me. Much like their beautiful album art, this album belongs in a gallery. But that's not to say that it's inaccessible. There is a certain accessibility to Psycroptic that I think is equal parts the songwriting and the production that just lets even a musically ungifted Luddite like me appreciate the technicality and get this groove in my head where I can bob my head and tap my hands and feet in these complicated polyrhythms that I could never achieve consciously. If I focused on trying to do that, it would be a fucking mess. But so natural of the groove of Psycroptic and so like well isolated are all the parts individually that I can focus on the whole song and kind of bob my head with the guitar while drumming with my hands and I've got my feet on the vocal melody and it all just feels natural. It's very, take over the body primal movement. I think that's why I love this compared to, say, an Archspire, who are just so balls to the wall, aggressive, fast, that sure, some people might hear it and think it's more impressive than a Psycroptic or heavier or harder, but I can't keep up with that. Whereas this is just so perfectly balanced, as I said before. I think that's a nice word for it, that I can really get into it and really enjoy it. And I think that's why it has that appreciated as a whole art piece. It's a really nice, engaged 39 minutes to listen to. And then at the end of that, I disengage. I'm like, damn, God, that was nice. How good how lucky to be in the Australian metal scene and have Psycroptic in your backyard. We are so truly blessed. And how crazy that just Psycroptic have been so consistent throughout their entire career in terms of release frequency, release quality, the artwork. They've just never dropped the ball, and I think they've earned their Australian metal royalty status. Must come with a lot of pressure, but pressure makes gems, and I think this album, The Pulse of Annihilation, is another gem in their crown. So, enjoy the album tomorrow. At time of recording, it comes out in 5 hours. I believe over on their Facebook, they're doing an early listening thing tonight, so you might already be listening to it, in which case I hope you're enjoying it. I'm really keen to hear the general reception when it comes out. I'm keen to hear what longer time fans with kind of more experience with the entire backlog think about it compared to past releases, especially earlier releases. I want to know how people feel about the direction of the band. If that's you, if you're a Psycroptic diehard, sound off in the comments, let me know. If anyone from Psycroptic is watching this, I want another Ruins album. If you could just put Psycroptic like on the shelf for an album cycle and give me a Ruins album, that'd be pretty cool. I'd like that. Most importantly, whatever you're doing, whatever you're listening to, I hope you're listening to good music and enjoying good music and enjoying your life. And until next time, peace out.